Hold on. Switch us.
All right.
It low key looks better with me in the middle,
Nah, it
but
would look better if you could just get a camera.
well, obviously,
Yeah, true.
Please, oh,
I'm
we
not
need
the
that
screen.
camera. We need that camera soon, man. We need to see your beautiful face
But
on screen
I
for the
look so
audience.
ass on the camera. It's so bad.
Big bro.
Nah, you're always
I would look
breedable over
good.
here.
I don't. You just made it completely weird. Jesus Christ. But but with that with
Damn.
that being out the way, hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Lunch and Debates. I am your fellow co-host Dibo along with my other two co-hosts Matt and Owen.
How you guys doing? It was raining earlier today. Was it raining up in Foco, Owen?
It still is.
Damn.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
it
my
still
favorite type of
is.
weather.
But it feels good when you can just sit inside when it's raining outside, because then it doesn't make you like feel guilty about not going outside.
Yeah,
That is
100%.
true.
I
But I
can't.
mean, now you go first, man. My fault.
I was gonna say I can't wait till we get like that first snow day of the school year.
Oh please, I need it so bad.
There's no better
Um,
feeling.
I need it.
Except I'm gonna
Yeah.
be pissed if it's not on my day that I have an 8 a.m.
Ooh, true.
Jesus, that's
Need
crazy.
that.
It's
But
it's worse for me and Debo though, cause like I'm
yeah,
Monday,
we actually
Wednesday,
have to
Debo's
like
Tuesday, Thursday. It has to be on the right day.
yeah, and we have to commute to
Mhm.
campus, so
Mhm.
it'd be a pain in the ass. Like
Well, y'all not
almost
rocking with my 5 minute commute.
nah, I take a 5 minute commute over a half an hour commute. That's for sure. That is for sure. But uh on to other things, right? Directional album for all the dogs. How do you feel about that?
Matt, go first on that one.
I can't go first.
What do you
I've
mean?
been I've I've been tardy. I haven't even listened to it. I feel
Authority?
I feel disgraced because Drake. I have Drake top two. I have Drake top two, and for me to not listen to his new album is very uncharacteristic. But we'll be in the lab soon listening to it.
Okay, wait. So with that question, so with that statement, right? By top two, do you mean right now or all time?
Like all time, like of my favorite artists.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Where does he rank on yours?
On mine, like favorite artist, probably I think like top 10 for sure, probably around like the top five. But like when it comes to all time, I think he might be at that top 10. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. He might be at that top 10.
That's fair. That's fair. But I don't listen to like those old rappers a lot. I can't lie. I probably should
This
because they do have good music. But like, I'm always just listening to like today. I literally was on a like Drake workout playlist.
What a
for
guy.
that's
That's all I was
more
on the
that's
RTD.
that's
How
fair.
how was
That's
bro
fair.
gonna put on a Drake workout playlist but not listen to the new album though? That's crazy.
It's too much
That's a good question, Owen. That is a
because
very
if
good
you're
question.
listening to a new album, then you gotta like sit down and actually listen and like analyze the songs. But like if it's just something I've already heard, I can just like play it on auto tune or play it on what
That's
is
a
it
better
autoplay?
response than I was
Repeat. Yeah,
expecting. I'm not
autoplay.
gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Owen, what about your thoughts?
Um, I'm not like the biggest Drake guy. There's like probably like 10 songs of his that I can just really fucking bump to. But I listened to it. I thought it was good. I mean, like, I'd probably give it like a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think I would add any of the songs on there to like my playlist that I like actively listen to, but I can listen to it and enjoy it.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, my thoughts on that. I don't know, man. Kind of like I'm thinking about 5 out of 10. It was it was I mean, there were some songs that I enjoyed. 8 a.m. in Toronto. Rich Baby Daddy. Sexier than Scissor. That song. That was one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. Great
Yeah.
song. I bumped that in the car. I bumped that in the car yesterday coming back from school. So and then there was a couple other standout tracks too. First person shooter, featuring J Cole on it.
That was
Straight
a good
heat. That was
a good
straight
one.
fire. J. Cole
Any song with
came in
J Cole
hot.
goes crazy.
He did come in hot with the feature game Elite, but I don't know, man. It's just that with these past few Drake projects, I just think that they could be so much better. Like with just first of all, I just think the album I think it was like a little bit too long. There was like a
Yeah, it's
handful of
like
songs that I
25
truly
songs.
enjoyed. Yeah, it was like 20, 25 songs around that. So there was like a handful of songs that I truly enjoyed. And the rest, like first listen, like playing the album like front to back, it was just like kind of a chore, to be honest with you. I don't know if it
Yeah,
was because it was in the morning, but it was kind of a chore just to listen to the whole thing
Where
yeah,
does
it's
it
like an
rank to
hour and a half.
you in between the Uzi and the Travis Scott album from this year?
from this year.
If
Well,
you had to rank the top
Utopia.
three.
Yeah, yeah. So Utopia by a clear margin. I think of all the rap albums I've heard this year, that is clearly rap album of the year by far. And then I don't really like the other two, to be honest. I think the Pink Team was like really mediocre in my opinion. So I'm gonna have For All the Dogs at 2, and then Pink Tape at last at 3.
Yeah, I agree. I like the Flooded the Face from Pink Tape, but that was probably it. That was
Yeah,
like the
bro.
only
I
song that got added to the playlist.
like I don't know, like the rock thing, trying to mix those genres together, man. I just didn't. That wasn't my cup of tea. I didn't really rock with that. I did not really rock with that at all. But um, moving on to our episode today, Matt, do you care to explain to the audience what we're going to talk about?
Yes. So, Bleacher Report recently posted an article. I want to give a shout out to Andy Bailey. He's the one who wrote the article. And the article is titled One Player Every NBA Team Should Put on the Trade Block. So, I kind of read some of his introduction to the article. He's basically said every team has at least one player whom it should at least dangle in the trade market. The players listed here shouldn't necessarily be moved right away or at all, but their teams would be wise to see what others around the league might offer for them. So I read that because what we're going to do is I'm going to go through every team and we're going to see who he picked, and then we're going to see if we agree with that selection and if why and why. Um, so without further ado, you guys want to hop in?
I think we shall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First team, Atlanta Hawks, Clint Capella. Dibo, what do you think? Agree or disagree?
Um, I agree. I both agree and disagree to an extent. I feel like Clint Capella, he's been on my trade block list for that team for a while now. I think with that starting 5 spot, they should give it to
Onyeka
Onyeka Okongwu. My fault with that. I just feel like with his higher ceiling and his defensive ability to protect the rim, while also being more athletic compared to Clint Capella, despite the size difference, I just feel like that would be the more cheaper and more like team valuable option moving forward. But I think with the Hawks right now, DeAndre Hunter, he could be a guy that that could be on the trade market soon. With how his contract is and him like his ability with this team moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think, Owen?
Um, you know, with everything that Debo said, and then combining what with it Andy said, I think it's true that they got to start Kongwu instead of Clint. He's just better. Yeah, but in terms of the trade, I think getting rid of Clint Capella would probably be a smart idea because I don't know. I think that Hawks kind of, if you want to call it a duo with him and Trey Young, is just getting kind of stale. It's just the same thing over and over again. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah. There's no versatility in the offense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all cookie cutter.
It's just the standard pick and roll scheme with Trey Clint and also with the DeJounte Murray too. It's just that and just have the other guys space out the floor and with in this freelance offense, which I hope this coming season with Quinn Snyder as their head coach with a full season, I hope the offense expands more off that.
For sure.
Yeah. I agree as well with Andy. I think that the Clinton Capella trade would be smart for a couple of reasons. First, they traded John Collins earlier this summer, basically for a bag of chips, but they did that because they were gonna let Jalen Johnson slide into the starting spot, and he's a young, enticing power forward, and he and Onyeka Okongwu looked pretty good with each other coming off of the bench. And so if you could trade Clint Capella and you could maybe get some better assets like to either help you out defensively with the liabilities of Trae Young or maybe to get some size because Onyeka Okongwu is one of the smaller centers in the league. But you could have your like young front court for the future because I don't think that the Atlanta Hawks have like championship aspirations next season. Like that's
No.
always what you reach for, but I don't think like realistically they'll get there. But so if they can take this year to insert two young guys into the starting lineup and develop them alongside Trae Young and build that chemistry, I think that's a win for Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I can't see right now with Clint Capella having a substantial role like he does well, not I guess not right now because it's technically still off season for preseason, but with
Mm-hmm.
the substantial role that he's been having, I just don't see the Hawks being good compared to all the other powerhouse teams in the East anytime soon.
Yeah. Um, Moving on, Debo, we'll let you go first on this one again because it is about your Boston Celtics. And Andy writes that they should put Jordan Walsh on the trade block.
I respectfully disagree with Andy's take on Jordan Walsh being a tradable piece. Um, I feel like the player who he should have mentioned instead would be the more obvious choice, Payne Pritchard. With this new deal, be with this new deal, obviously that he signed recently, at 4 year, 7.5 million a year. I just feel like there's a ceiling with Payne Pritchard as a player in the league, right? I just feel like with his overall size, him being a very undersized guard, and with how the Celtics are with their backcourt, obviously being specified defensively with guards like White, Drew, and also well Jalen Brown. Well, he's not the most defensive, you know, he's not that great
Oriented,
defensively, but you say who?
defensive oriented.
Yeah, defensive oriented. Thank you, man. He's not the most defensive oriented player, but still he has the size at that position to at least be a factor on that end. Paying Pritchard, I just don't know his place on this team right now. He's a solid off ball shooter, but at the same time, like for him to score, mainly to be a positive presence on the court, he has to have the ball in his hands to make plays. And I just don't think that with this team right now, we're not going to give him the opportunities that he needs.
Well
I mean,
said,
yeah,
Debo.
yeah. I'd say the Peyton Pritchard thing is fair. If you remember last year, I remember he went on a Iggy and Evan Turner's podcast and basically said that he wanted the starting role and like he wants to change the scenery. So I don't know if there's like weird locker room vibes for him in that Celtics locker room. So, but if there is, then he should be the one on the trade block. But I understand the Jordan Walsh one a little bit just because that's one of the big concerns for you guys is your front court depth. And so if you can maybe trade him for a backup big, it might be worth it.
Yeah, I'm actually very high on Jordan Walsh. Will he be the Grant Williams replacement to T? No, I don't think he's that type of player, especially when you compare the two size wise. But I still have a lot of faith in him being that 3-and-D wing off the bench, give you a lot of valuable minutes there in that position, and can guard a ton of more offensively oriented wings in this league as well. And I think him, Lamar Stevens, and O'Shea Brissett, three of those guys we got in the offseason, I think those three are going to be an X factor on this team, especially with our questions revolving around our bench.
Well, one of them is gonna have to take the step.
For sure.
Who do you think's
Dibo.
most likely?
Oh shit, my bad.
No, go ahead.
Say
I
it again. Say it again.
Who do you think's
Say that again
most
one more
likely to take the step from those three guys?
I think short term, when it comes to the start of the year, I believe Lamar Stevens, with what I saw during preseason, uh, especially during the Sixers game, he showed a lot of promise on that end, being a high energy guy, a glue guy on both ends of the ball. So I feel that I'd pick him to be to be that guy to step up early, but long term, it has to be Jordan Walsh.
Fair enough.
Dibo, I don't think I could agree with you anymore. I also like Jordan Walsh a lot. I think he's an extremely good defender, just a pure lock. And I think if you guys could take the time to develop him, it could extend to your championship window that you're currently in.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I feel
Peyton-
like one oh sorry, my fault.
I was just gonna say, and then Peyton Pritchard. I agree 100%. I think with trading him, it's like you could get a decent amount of assets, or at least a decent asset for him. And then right now, like you said, I don't see the place he has on the team in the current moment. There's no place for him in the starting lineup, and then coming off the bench, I don't know if that's just going to work with the Celtics scheme right now.
I don't see that right now. And I was about to say for Jordan Walsh, one area in his game that I would like for him to improve on with us is his shooting, specifically, in catch and shoot opportunities, because he really struggled with that during his time in Arkansas. And I know summer league, that's not the greatest way to evaluate players, in that setting. But from what I saw, he it was a little bit of an improvement, and so with the season and with other seasons moving forward, I think that if we can see improvement, with his ability to be a knockdown shooter in those spots, I think his game will go a long way.
Yeah,
Sure.
and he's gonna get a lot of those looks because they're gonna be sagging off of him in the corner quite a bit, especially like early in his career, as you mentioned, kind of starting to develop the jump shot, but it's not quite there yet. Like they're gonna be sagging off him so they can double Jaylen Brown, double Jason Tatum. So the sooner he develops the jump shot, the better. Where he went to Arkansas, yeah, he's a Razorback.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Okay.
only 1 year though.
One and done.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Owen, Andy writes that the Brooklyn Nets should dangle Lonnie Walker.
That's true. I don't hate that take at all. I'm someone who's pretty high on Lonnie Walker, but I don't know. The Nets are already pretty guard heavy,
Yeah,
especially and even small forward heavy because running McHale right there. It's I don't know. Lonnie Walker with the Nets, it just seems like he's going to be the one that doesn't get any of the playing time, and especially for a player of his caliber, I think they could probably get something good to help fit with the Nets organization more than Lonnie Walker does right now.
Dibo.
My turn. I'm gonna throw in a different name for the Nets right now.
Hold on. Can I guess? I think we're thinking of the same person.
Guard.
Spencer Dinwiddie.
Oh no, it wasn't on my mind actually. No, it's not Dinwiddie. It's not.
I had Dinwiddie.
No,
But
it's
who did you have?
for me? It's a different guard for me. I'm gonna go with Cam Thomas.
That's who I was thinking Dibo was gonna say.
I after he said it wasn't Spencer Dinwiddie, I figured.
Yeah, and with my opinion about that, I just feel like with Cam Thomas's role on this team last year, of course, he kind of popped off during that whole ordeal with both with both KD and Kyrie being traded around the trade deadline, and we saw a little bit of his potential as a scorer. Those 30-point games back to back to back, and
40.
despite that, I said 30. My fault. 40-point games during that span. But as season progressed, that end of the season progressed, he had DMPs, obviously, and during the series against Philly, of course, he got little to no playing time. And so for the Nets front office and head coach Jacques Vaughn, I think for Cam Thomas right now, if they're not going to evaluate him, if they're not going to, use him properly, if they're not going to give him more minutes with the roster that needs, I'm gonna be completely honest, they need a little bit more pop, they need a little bit of more explosiveness, especially offensively.
That's
If
true.
they're not going to use his talents, or even like give him a chance, I think that they should give him a trade. They gotta ship him away.
Well said.
It's not a bad argument. It's not a bad argument. I give it to you. I think that's well. First of all, I think that's why the league needs to expand to more teams. I think there's just way
I
too
agree.
much talent in the league. Um, and you have situations where like Cam Thomas should be getting more minutes, but he can't because of the depth on the team. But as mentioned, I have Spencer Dinwiddie as the name for my player on the trade block. I
You
think
mean
that
Dinwiddie?
well, there you
No,
go.
hey man,
That's
that's
partly
what
why.
Kuzma said. That's what
Oh, that's
Kuzma
That is
foul.
said.
true,
That's
bro.
foul.
That's what Kuzma
Former
said.
teammates too. Former teammates
No
too.
disrespect to Dinwiddie though. It's all love. Yeah, it's all love.
Um,
Colorado alumni.
Hell yeah.
but I just don't really feel like Dinwiddie kind of fits in with this team, at least like timeline wise. Because they have Mikal. Mikal's a pretty young guy. I think he's 24, 25. Um, Cam Johnson's 25. Nicholas Claxton's like 24. And you have like these exciting pieces off the bench, like a Lonnie Walker and like a Cam Thomas in those same guard positions. So I think that if the Brooklyn Nets can just commit to this youth movement and maybe trade Dinwiddie away for some future picks because they obviously gave some up in the James Harden trade, and to kind of recuperate their draft compensation and draft capital, I think would just be a positive thing. And I don't think you're getting the same draft capital for Lonnie Walker as you would for Spencer Dinwiddie.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on, Charlotte Hornets. Gordon Hayward. What do you think, Owen?
I haven't seen a whole lot of Gordon Hayward, whether that be injuries or that just be or being the Hornets not knowing how to manage him. I think he would thrive in a different place much better than the Hornets. Again, probably because the Hornets just being a questionable franchise.
The Feastables now.
Right? Maybe Mr. Beast gonna turn around. Nah, but that's besides the point. I don't know. I can't really think of anyone else. So Andy's probably just gonna get my vote here as being right.
Before today, the correct answer would have been Kai Jones.
Not,
But they cut him.
they weren't gonna get anything for him.
Yeah. But Gordon Hayward is the right answer to me. I think one with getting off of his contract, I believe it's his last year. So you might be able to entice a team like, hey, I understand there's a lot of money, but it's only a 1-year deal. And then to your point, Owen, it just hasn't worked out in Charlotte. And Gordon Hayward, he's looked good when he's been healthy, but that's a giant question mark with him because he's playing like 50% of the season now, if that. So if he could go to a team where he has like a much shorter role, but a team that thinks that, oh, if we have a Gordon Hayward coming off the bench, we might be a championship contender. Like I could see the Lakers making a move like that, just like a desperation move. But I think Gordon Hayward's the right answer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dibo, what do you think about
Right.
the Hornets?
The Hornets right now with Gordon Hayward, I do agree with him as well on that. Hey man, he's been on the in these trade talks for a few years now, especially with this big contract. And I feel like if this was the time to do it, go fully into more of a youth movement with LaMelo, and especially now with Brandon Miller at that three spot.
Oh,
I just feel like it
100%.
would be the right choice to do it, especially right now.
Yeah,
100%. I
yeah.
didn't even think about Brandon Miller.
No, me neither. Me neither.
Y'all,
But yeah,
y'all, man, y'all gotta
he could
give
start
Brandon
it.
Miller some more love, man. Come on,
No,
y'all
he's
gotta
an exciting
believe.
prospect.
Yeah, y'all gotta believe in the kid. That's baby PG right there, man. Come on.
Ooh.
PG is his goat. Um, moving on to the Chicago Bulls. He writes that Lonzo Ball should be in the trade block.
I disagree heavily.
And why? And
Um,
who do you think should be there?
I honestly, this might be a hot take, and Bulls fans probably not going to like me for this. I think instead of Lonzo, because I don't think you could get anything for Lonzo at this point, just with his big question mark is if he's even going to play again. But I think they should honestly trade my guy DeMar DeRozan. I think he's getting older. He's like what, like 34, something like
Yeah, I
that.
think so.
Around that age, yeah, around that age.
He's got probably 4 or 5 more years, if that, because that would put him at 38, 39 ish. I just feel like while he's still an elite player, they should try their best to get a younger elite player instead of him to pair with Zach LaVine and hopefully Lonzo if he can come back healthy.
Dibo, what do you think?
I mean, for Chicago right now, they're probably one of the hardest teams to even evaluate which players they should trade or not because apparently they're gonna keep moving with Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, and hopefully Alonzo Ball when he gets back to try to win now. Even though, of course, with what we've seen with those four players, it obviously hasn't worked out, and so they don't. I don't feel like right now they would trade away more of their younger players in a Patrick Williams or in a Io DeSumo and a Kobe White. I don't think they do that. But at the same time, they haven't shown any signs of trying to rebuild, or trying to blow it up altogether. So I'm kind of in the dilemma right now. Kind of in a dilemma, to be
I'll
honest.
tell you. I'll tell you what I did. I disagree with this, and I think it's because instead of saying Lonzo Ball, it should say blow it up. I think Zach Levine should be on the trade block. I think
That's
DeMar
fair.
DeRozan, Vucevic should be on the trade block. I think they should keep Patrick Williams. I think Owen made a great point in saying that teams probably are not giving up a lot for Lonzo Ball right now because he hasn't played basketball for 2 years. They already ruled him out for this year, so it's going to be 3 years. I don't know a lot of teams trading a lot for a player who hasn't played 3 years. I would keep him. I'd keep Patrick Williams. I'd keep Io DeSumo, Kobe White, maybe even Alex Caruso because he is a good locker room presence. He's a good vet for those guys. But they should blow it up. They should blow it up and get all the young assets they can get.
Hey,
Yeah,
agreed.
man, bro, man. Here at Lunch on the Base, you've been hollering that same statement for like over the past year now, man, and it still hasn't happened. Hopefully this year, especially around the trade deadline, that changes. But as of right now, I just don't see that happening soon. Unfortunately, Chicago fans, the playing tournament, hey, it's
It's
gonna be
there.
right around the corner again this year. Sorry, it is what it is. Y'all can't run away from it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Um. Moving on though. Next team is the Cleveland Cavaliers with Chris LeVert being on the trade block, or Karis LeVert, excuse me.
Mm.
That's a tough one.
Who's trying to go first? Who's trying to go first?
Dibo, I think you should.
I should have first crack.
He did not
All
want
right.
to go first.
Hey, no. Let's do this.
But
Looking at the roster right now, and I feel like that candidate is not Karis LeVert.
Yeah.
it's Jared Allen, huh?
Damn right it is. It's
Yeah,
Jared Allen.
yeah.
We know he's a Jared Allen hater.
I'm a Jared Allen hater. No, I'm not a Jared Allen hater. I think he, in the playoffs versus your Knicks, Mag, he obviously had a very poor series. You can say that for the rest of the team, but from that series, like alone, he was probably the worst on that Cleveland roster of all their starters by far. And I feel like with how the team's built right now, in the modern NBA, right, you have if your front court consists of two bigs that aren't that special offensively and can't shoot really outside. I don't know, man. Especially right now with both Mobley and Allen. I don't think Mobley um, with how he plays as a player, I don't think he's gonna have that big of an offensive leap to where he can create on his own or even consistently shoot from outside. And with Jared Allen, we know who he is as a big. He's gonna rebound consistently, be a rim presence, be a lob threat around the rim, and just give you little to no shooting whatsoever. So I think if Cleveland wants to move forward in this perspective, in this scenario, tapping into the trade market, I think Jared Allen will be the most likely player to be there.
Yeah, I agree, and I've on numerous occasions I've come out and said I don't agree with the Twin Towers roster. I just don't think there's ever a world where that could work unless you have like actually a crazy player like Wembanyama on steroids. I don't think that's gonna work. I think they should trade away Jared Allen too, Dibo. I don't think the problem is Karis LeVert coming off the bench. I think he's a good option to give them some a scoring boost they need, especially on a defensive heavy team. You think you trade away Jared Allen, keep Evan Mobley in there, develop him more, get maybe a stronger power forward to fill up that position, and I think the Cavs take the next step.
All right, but I agree mostly with what you said. I don't agree with getting a new power forward and moving Mobley to that 5 spot. I think keep Mobley at the 4 unless he has this massive growth spurt over an offseason. But as of right now, keep him at the 4 and just keep playing him there in that spot. Get a more veteran 5, a guy that can actually space the floor more often.
Like an Al Horford?
I was thinking the same thing.
I was
It's
thinking
not gonna happen,
more of a Brook Lopez type of big.
I don't think the Twin Towers is the way to go.
No, but if you put it in that perspective, I think it would fit more. It would fit better because Lopez he gives you elite rim protection, and also he's one of the most efficient 3-point shooting bigs in the entire league as well. But going on to the point of the Twin Towers in Cleveland, there is a very limited offensive ceiling that you're going to have with both Mobley and Allen as your two starting bigs. And throughout the league, what other teams can start two bigs at the same time and have that much success? Golden State, probably.
The Celtics.
The Celtics too as well. But with the Warriors, their shooting's unbelievable with Steph, even with Clay, post his injuries. And with Boston, you're gonna have the scoring with both Tatum and Brown. So that at least like limits the weakness with double bigs. Cleveland, I just don't really see it, even with their elite backcourt in both Garland and Mitchell.
I agree with both. I think Karis LeVert should be on the trade block. Jared Allen got bitched throughout the series against the Knicks. Debo's 100% right. Was a no-show for all 5 games. Was a no-show for all.
That's a bit harsh, but yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But I mean, Mitchell Robinson outplayed him and Evan Mobley. But that hurt them a lot. But they also had no bench production, no bench scoring, no spark off the bench to maybe flip the momentum of a game. And typically that's your spark plug guy. That's your flamethrower off the bench who would do something like that for you, and that's what Karis LeVert is supposed to be for this team, and he just didn't show up when it mattered the most. So I think that getting like a typical 6-man flamethrower is could be a beneficial move for them, and then I would agree with moving Jared Allen, and I'd also agree with what Owen was saying. I think if you're moving Jared Allen, you're committing to playing Evan Mobley at the 5, um, because as you mentioned, Debo, there's some serious offensive limitations to having double bigs. I mean, you even see it with a floor spacing big like Cat in Minnesota. Cat is arguably the best 3-point shooting big in the league. Um, and he and Rudy Gobert in the Minnesota Timberwolves offense didn't look good, and that's with having elite guard play and Anthony Edwards. So I think if you trade Jared Allen, you're committing Evan Mobley to play at the 5, which I think is beneficial. I think that's the way the NBA is going. I think that he would be a Bam type center for the Cleveland Cavaliers. At least that's what they should try to develop him to be. So I would agree with both. I think Jared Allen and Karis LeVert should be on the trade block.
Man, bro, I don't know. It's just Mobley's size, man. That's the biggest issue. Because at least Bam, he's one of the more stronger bigs in the league. Like, he can hold his own down in the paint. Mobley, I mean, go back to the next series again. I mean, Randall and Mr. Robinson, they both took his lunch. Their front court got exposed badly with their toughness and physicality.
But it's the same thing with the Grizzlies and Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, they're slowly phasing out Steven Adams, and Jaren is going to become the 5. And Jared's a little bit more filled out than Evan Mobley for sure, but I think there's guys like Chet in the league now. There's guys like Wemby in the league now where you're seeing even though centers might not be, well, I mean, those guys are the biggest, but maybe not the strongest or the most filled out. Like, if you're tall and you can switch on all 5 positions while protecting the rim, you're going to be a 5 nowadays.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Dibo, I think. Oh shit. I think you shouldn't worry about the physicality aspect. I mean, Evan Mobley's only 22. He's going into his third year in the league. That's just gonna come with time. That's just gonna come with time. Give him a year and a half, 2 more years, and he'll be a very solid built player.
I'm trying to remember what he looked like rookie season compared to now, if he's put on some muscle.
I think
he definitely has.
Yeah, I definitely think he has.
But yeah, moving on to the next team, we got the Dallas Mavericks with Tim Hardaway Jr.
Nah, I think they should trade Luka. Not playing.
I'm trying to think who else is on the roster. I think like Tim Hardaway. Nah, I'd actually say either Dwight Powell or Maxi Kleber. Preferably keep Maxi Kleber, trade Dwight Powell.
Hey man, I'm
Isn't
gonna
there
agree
some
with
talks
the
about Dwight Powell getting moved?
Huh?
He should have been. He should have been got moved.
Yeah,
got moved.
I think he's asked, to be honest.
Damn.
Respectfully.
I mean,
respectfully.
Damn. I mean, I think the majority of Mavs fans can agree with you on that. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
no disrespect, but
Mark Cuban probably does too.
Nah. But in my eyes, I actually agree with the article's take on this one. I really don't understand Hardaway Jr.'s role on this team. I really don't, and I haven't for the past few years now with him being on the team. An inefficient 6-man off the bench, let's be honest. I mean, he can bring a little bit of a scoring pop, but as I said before, like, sometimes he's very efficient. He needs the ball to be a productive player on the court. And I feel like right now, with obviously Luka and Kyrie, those two playing on the same team, and with other pieces like a Seth Curry and Kleba, Josh Green, and a Grant Williams, Jalen Hardy too. I was about to talk about Jalen Hardy with this debate, but those guys I mentioned wings that can defend a little bit while also being catch and shoot guys. And I feel like with what the Mavs want to do with Jason Kidd, I just feel like Tim Hardaway has no place with this team right now. Like you said, Matt, Jaden Hardy. Hey man, I have a lot of hope in him. I think he should take Hardaway Jr.'s spot as that 6 man, as that scoring presence off the bench. Hey, they got to make that move. They got to make that move immediately.
I think I'm in the same boat with you, Dibo. I don't understand his role either. I mean, it's not like he's a crazy good defender. And,
no, he's not. He's a very mediocre defender.
Yeah, it's like, especially picking up a guy like Grant Williams. I know you don't like him that much, but he can do. I feel like he can do everything Tim Hardaway Jr. does, but better for the Mavericks, especially when they need more of a defensive punch. Because I mean, let's face it, Luka and Kyrie, Kleba's not a great defender. I think they need some more of that size that can also shoot and defend, which they just got in Grant Williams, like I said.
I understood Tim Hardaway's role a little bit. Like I understood he was the 6 man and he was just supposed to come in and shoot a ton of threes. And he did it pretty well last year. He averaged 15 points off the bench. I have it here. He shot 30.
What was the efficiency?
38% from 3.
38?
38. Not bad. Okay. Above league average, below like elite. But to your credit, like you mentioned, Jaden Hardy, I think now is where you could probably trade Tim Hardaway Jr. You can have Jaden Hardy be that 6 man off the bench, and in exchange, you can trade Tim Hardaway Jr., who's providing you offense right now, and trade him for some pieces that will provide you defense. So I think I do think I understand the rationalization. But if we move on to Owen's team and the Denver Nuggets, the player that Andy writes is Zeke Naji.
I 100% agree. I low-key, because not having looked at this article before, blind reacting to it, I low-key thought he was going to have Michael Porter Jr. up there, because that's what I see a lot around the media, that the Nuggets should be considering trading him, which I don't understand for a second. But Zeke Naji, that I could get behind. I've never been high on Zeke Naji. I think I've said on the podcast on multiple occasions as well. I don't think he's ever going to get a big enough role in the Nuggets. I think honestly he has some butterfingers. I'm not going to lie. From what I've seen, it just feels like when he's trying to do the dirty work in the paint, he just kind of loses the ball. You know what I'm saying? He has a hard time going up strong like he should, especially for a guy that's been in the league now for what? I don't even know.
3
Is it 3
years?
years? I think it's 3 years.
He got drafted 2020. So
4 years.
Around that span, yeah.
I just don't. I don't understand it. It doesn't seem like he's, I guess, developed his game in that rough trenches area like he should for a guy of his size. Especially when the Nuggets are looking for a backup big.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the perfect player for the Nuggets to have on the trade block, because one, it's nobody in the rotation. It's nobody that you like that has a significant role in this team when it comes to the playoffs. We saw Zeke Naji in the regular season. The Denver Nuggets giving more minutes to DeAndre Jordan because DeAndre Jordan was playing better on the court.
Yeah.
So it clearly just has not worked out with Zeke Naji, and maybe you could trade him to a young team like, I mean, the Pistons have a ton of front court youth. The Trailblazers have a ton of front court youth. Maybe the Hornets, maybe the Magic. I don't know. Like, you could try to get him to one of those teams if they want to take a chance on him. But the Nuggets they won a championship, best starting 5 in the league. Good bench. No reason to break that up. So might as well try to trade somebody who's not in the rotation.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with this on 100% too as well. I mean, even with MPJ and other key guys too, during that stretch where the Nuggets were kind of in hell basically when it came to like competing, Zeke Naji wasn't able to have a positive impact really at all. So yeah, that'd be the player with the most to trade for in that position. But at the same time, like there's no one on this team that really is like in serious trade talks. I mean, it's basically the same roster from last year minus Bruce Brown and Jeff Green. So I think the Nuggets are going to be perfectly fine with keeping that same roster throughout the entire year.
100%, 100%. Shout out to Andy for that one. Moving on to the Detroit Pistons, their player is Bojan Bogdanovic. What do you guys think?
Can I go first?
Yeah,
Go
absolutely.
for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a different player for this one, and that player is Isaiah Stewart.
Yes, Dibo.
Going
Yes.
with Isaiah Stewart, and I
Dude,
feel like
well
when you look
said.
at their front court, right now. We got Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, Jalen Duren, and Isaiah Stewart. And out of those four bigs, I think the player with probably the lowest ceiling out of all of them is Isaiah Stewart. And that's not his fault. Like I like Isaiah Stewart as like a gritty big, does the dirty work in the front court, can rebound too as well. But I just feel like right now, with their roster, I think Wiseman and Duren, they're probably gonna get the majority of those minutes. Bradley is gonna be the sixth man off the bench as a scoring option. So I feel like Isaiah Stewart, his position with this team, is kind of in question right now. It really is.
Divo, I 100% agree. I had Isaiah Stewart as well. You mentioned it, just the front court depth with all their youth, with Bagley and Wiseman and Duran. Like they all just have such high ceilings. And to me, the Detroit Pistons basically only vet is like Bojan Bogdanovic and
Yeah,
Alec
it is
Burks at this point.
Bogdanovic.
Alex Burks, it's those. Well, and Monte Morris too. They signed Monte Morris.
Oh, they did sign Monte too. Yeah.
But I think keeping a guy like Bojan is extremely beneficial to a team like the Pistons. A young team always needs some vets to make sure that they're always on the right path. Otherwise, you get like the Houston Rockets of the past couple years. And if Boyan can be the vet, if he can help instill Monty's new culture, the fans in Detroit obviously already like him because he's been one of their better players the last couple years. And he's helped the young guys grow. I mean, we saw Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duran, guys who typically you might expect to hit a rookie wall, hitting no rookie walls and excelling. And you can put some of that success to Bojan Bogdanovic, whether it's taking some pressure off with his scoring or his underrated playmaking. So I think you have to keep him on the roster.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, I'm gonna
100%.
Tebow, I'm gonna agree with you. Keep it short and sweet. Trade Isaiah Stewart. Keep Jalen Duren because he's a monster. As simple as that.
Baby Dwight Howard. Baby
Dude,
Dwight Howard. Owen.
he is a beast, and I'm sounding like a broken record here because I've said it again on numerous occasions on the podcast. I'm extremely high on Jalen Duren, so I look forward to seeing what he's going to keep doing. I don't see Isaiah Stewart having a place on the team as moving forward.
Next up, the Golden State Warriors with Moses Moody.
Agree.
Most moop. Oh, I'm sorry.
But and you said you agree?
I didn't get the reference. Kendrick Perkins, NBA draft.
Oh shit! Nah.
There you go.
Well,
man,
shout Perk.
Y'all gotta tap in with the culture more, man. I got to tap in with the NBA culture more.
Perk just not worth the listen.
No, I don't.
Damn.
Moses Moody, I agree with. He's a heavily offensive centered player. I mean, that boy a hooper, low key. But the Warriors are so guard heavy. I can't see his role. It's simple as that. I think they could get something good for him that's not a guard.
Some size, hopefully.
Yeah, for real.
Dibo?
Can I throw in an additional name as well, along with Moody?
Yeah.
Jonathan Kuminga.
No.
Disagree.
I so disagree.
No, and I'm not saying it because I'm not that high on Kuminga's game. I'm actually a Kuminga believer, but I feel like with the Warriors front office, especially with their team right now, still keeping these younger pieces like a Moses Moody, a Kuminga, putting them alongside, the big four, and with Chris Paul too coming in. I just feel like they gotta pick one side, man. They gotta pick one side. And obviously you got 30, you got 11, you got 23, you got 22 and 3. I think
You got
in
two
the
as
young
well.
trainee two.
Wait,
GP. Gary
yeah.
Payton?
Is
Yeah,
is he?
Gary
He's number
Payton.
2, right?
Yeah.
Okay, y'all
Or is
thought,
he might
or
be
y'all had
zero.
me.
Yeah, he's zero. I think he's zero.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually think he's zero. But
That might be
as I was saying, of course, the young movement right now.
He is
I
number
think
0.
last year that was a perfect opportunity to bring in Kuminga and Moody as well, with Curry and Wiggins being out with his absence. But I don't know why Steve Kerr he decided that, hey man, Anthony Lamb, hey,
he was solid
we're
for
gonna
them.
give him the minutes. We're gonna give him a lot of minutes. And I'm not a big believer in Anthony Lamb at all. I think he was one of the worst players in the league by far last year.
Nah. He was
I,
a positive player for the Warriors.
no, he wasn't.
Yes,
No,
he
he
was.
wasn't.
He was
Warriors fan,
a hooper for
bro.
them.
Ask any Warriors fan right now. Do you like Anthony Lamb as a player?
They won't know who he is.
True.
Warriors fans don't know anybody but the top 3.
That
And maybe Wiggins.
100% true.
That is a crazy accusation. But
It's true
but
though.
let me continue. If you told any Warrior fan, you ask them, like, hey, did you like Anthony Lamb as a player last year? They will say, no, hell no, hell no. He was not good. He was not
Nah.
good to contribute. And I feel like with Kuminga being obviously the more higher ceiling player, I just think that would have been a perfect opportunity to bring him into the squad, give him more minutes, give him more time to develop. But Steve Kerr, like young guys like the pretty much, and apparently he kept him in the doghouse. And I feel like if you're not going to give him that much respect, him and Moody, might as well trade him away.
I agree with Moody, but I disagree with Kuminga. And you got to remember the Warriors contract situation, because Steph's making 50 plus, Clay's making 40 plus, Wiggs is making 30 plus, Draymond is making 20 a year, Chris Paul's making what, 40, 50, I think. So if you're trading Kuminga, you can only get somebody back who's making that rookie contract salary, or the equivalent to it. Same with Moses Moody. So I think Moses Moody, you obviously try to look for first, because I think that you just have so many guards that you need to convert one of them into a big to give Kevon Looney a break every once in a while. But I think Kuminga is too high of a ceiling to let him go. I think you can keep one young player. You traded Wiseman and you traded Moody now. I think you can keep Kuminga. I think he's going to benefit a lot from playing with a guy like CP3. He's going to get a lot of those easy rim runs, easy pick and roll looks. So I think you just have to keep Kuminga though.
Yep.
Hey man, I do really like Kuminga, but I don't know. The front office, they not feeling the same energy. Steve Kerr, he not feeling the same energy like I am. I don't know why.
Next team is the Houston Rockets with Jayshawn Tate.
Ooh, no brainer.
Yeah.
With their
That's a
wing depth
smart
right
choice.
now, you got Cam Whitmore, Tari Eason, and now Dylan Brooks too. There's like no spot for him to get consistent minutes, and we even saw that last year too, with Tari Eason taking over that role. It's like that three and D enforcer at the wing position. So Jason Tate, you gone.
Yeah, I mean, especially for a
Bye bye.
guy like Andy said, he's soon to turn 28. That's a veteran in today's league, especially being with the Rockets for the past years that they've been struggling with how young their players are and the inexperience. He being that veteran piece hasn't helped them at all. It's like Dibo says, a no-brainer. Trade him away.
Yeah. I don't think we need to spend any more time on this one. I 100% agree. Like Debo said, he was already struggling for minutes last year, competing with guys like Tari Eason. now there's even more wing depth with Dylan Brooks and Cam Whitmore.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's continue and talk about the Indiana Pacers, and their player on the trade block is Buddy Hield.
Yeah, I think a no-brainer from the Pacers' perspective as well. Benedict, damn, I can't pronounce his last name.
Matherin, yeah.
Yeah, Benedict, along with Bruce Brown as well, who they just signed. I think with those two guards, Rick Carlisle, I think with what he's trying to do, bringing in both the young piece and the vet as well, a more defensive vet, because the Pacers last year, they were one of the more mediocre defensive teams last year, and they really don't got a lot of like wings they can rely on to be 3-and-D players. So with Buddy Hield, obviously you're gonna get a lot of scoring from him, a lot of offensive production, especially with his shooting. But with this team, nah, they can they can go without it. So
Yeah,
Buddy Hield.
a great 3-point shooter, and I feel like because of that, they could probably get a better fitting piece to their team. And like you said, Dibo, they brought in Bruce Brown, so they already have that kind of role-ish covered. They can get someone else that would fit better.
Yeah. Buddy Hield just seems like he's always in trade rumors, but I mean, I'd agree with this one.
Man, you talking about trade rumors? Miles Turner, bro. He's in trade rumors for like the past 5-6 years. It's crazy.
True. Ooh, this is
who's actually got traded though.
Yeah. True. The next one is an interesting one. It's the Los Angeles Clippers with Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann.
Damn, he's soon to be 27.
He is. He was I think he played all 4 at FSU.
That's crazy.
I'll go first then. Because neither of you wanted to go. I disagree with this heavily. I think Terrence Mann is a vital piece for this Clippers team. He's a player that you can count on to consistently play regular season games, which is a really important thing when you have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George as your top 2 players. And I think that we saw him show his versatility last year. You know, the first part of the season last year, he was basically playing the backup point guard for the Clippers because John Wall was out, and that was pre-Bones Highland. And then once they acquired Bones Highland and Russell Westbrook, he kind of changed to being a more off-ball guy who kind of just looked for his opportunity when he got it and always has played good defense. So I think his versatility and his willingness to just consistently play, be an Iron Man for the Clippers, means that he has to stay on the roster. And instead, I'd put a guy like Rocco or Bones Highland on the trade block, but I don't know how much value they're getting you.
Nah, I'm gonna throw a different player in this, man. I'm gonna throw a different player in the ring right now. Marcus Morris.
Oh yeah. Actually, yeah, I agree.
Marcus Morris by far. What is his role with this team now? Really, I mean, we saw that in the playoffs too. He was barely getting any play time. I mean, Norman Powell, Russ, and even like Bones Highland. Those are already 3 guys who consistently have the ball in their hands to create offensively, to create their own shot, and even create opportunities for other players like a Russ. With Marcus Morris, it feels redundant. His contract too, $17 million a year. They can ship that out to more of a rebuilding team, a team with more cap space that they can handle that contract. I just feel like Marcus Morris right now, it would be more beneficial for him to be traded on that team rather than the other players.
It's so disgusting because he'd be like isoing and taking the worst mid-range jump shots. Like just like the worst shot in the game.
Bro, as a fan of, the team that used to that he used to play for the Boston Celtics. Good Marcus Morris. Okay, man. Those
Yeah.
bad shots. Okay, if the shot's falling, all right, fine. It's
Mm-hmm.
cool. But when he's
It's
off,
yeah.
horrendous, completely horrendous, completely horrendous. And with a guy like Cam, he brings nothing on in other aspects of the game other than being a scorer. His shot not falling makes for nasty basketball, and I think Clippers fans they're done with him. I believe that the coaching staff that they were more strict with him getting playing time. I just think it's the right move for them to move on from him.
All right, I'm actually gonna disagree with you guys here. I do think that they should trade Terrence Mann, and here's why.
Mm.
What have we and seemingly everyone else in sports media been saying about the Clippers? They're running out of time. They are
Sure.
running out of time. So, what has also been said in the past few weeks, oh, the Sixers, if they're going to trade James Harden to the Clippers, they want Terrence Mann in the package. If you're the Clippers, I think you're dumb to not trade Terrence Mann along with like other assets, obviously, to get James Harden, make a push to win a championship now or next year, because again, they're running out of time.
Sure. I mean, yeah. If you're getting James Harden for the Terrence Mann, I think you do it. But unless you're getting a superstar player, I'm probably not trading Terrence Mann or star player.
No, yeah, I feel like man, his impact being a hustle guy as a defensive presence, I think that's too valuable for this Clippers team right now.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's
Nah,
fair.
Debo, I know what you mean with the Marcus Morris because you remember that he was with the Knicks for half a season, and he was balling with the Knicks. Like when his shots going in, it's some of the best times to be a fan. But to your point, when the shots not falling, it's so frustrating to watch.
Nasty ball, atrocious ball. Nah,
Yeah,
man.
he like a bagless Carmelo Anthony.
Mm,
I mean,
but
Morris got a little bit of a bag, but
Compared to Carmelo Anthony, I should have said.
fair
but
enough.
let's move across to the next LA team, and they have D'Angelo Russell on the trade block.
Lakers fans love this.
Yeah.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think they should trade D'Lo. I know he got a lot of shit. Uh, last year's playoffs versus the Nuggets, which it's absolutely deserved because he was completely terrible. I don't even want to look at his stats for that entire series, man. I just know it's atrocious.
Yeah,
But about D'Lo, right? Point guard, consistent presence. Last year, down the stretch at the end of the regular season, he was one of the main reasons why they got into the playing too, with LeBron and AD out, being that key guy who can bring you that playmaking, that shot creation too, especially when the main stars are out for the Lakers. So right now, with how this team's working, you gotta keep D'Lo. Contract to being very a very team friendly deal at 17 million.
I think I'm agreeing with Andy. I
Ew,
to,
man, no D'Lo
but
love.
you hold on. You disagree with Andy, but who is your player that you recommend instead?
My
Because
player right now,
that's the problem.
that is the problem. Looking
That
at it
is the
right now.
problem, and that's why I have D'Angelo Russell.
yeah,
Um,
that kind of like process of elimination. There's no one really better.
yeah, because you got LeBron. Obviously, you can't. AD, you can't. Reeves is their fanboy. They're not gonna do that.
But
Rui just
he's just nice. He's nice
no, no,
though.
no, no. I agree. They should not trade
Yeah.
Reeves. No, they should. He's their third best player. They should not trade him. Um, Rui, they're not gonna trade. He just had an impressive playoff run. Um, Gabe Vincent, exciting PG that they signed. Um, who else? Like Christian Wood maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
I'll say Christian Wood, but Yeah.
Is
Honestly,
that better than
I think
D'Lo
he'd be
though?
more of a cut candidate.
But
Not really, but still, I would keep D'Lo for the time being.
Yeah.
D'Lo had an impressive like first round. No, when did they play the Warriors? He had an
Second.
impressive first and second round against Grizzlies and Warriors. And then the Nuggets kind of exposed him.
Yeah, couldn't play defense, and the shot was not falling either, so it was really bad.
Yeah, he's just a
Yeah.
liability on the. No, I think
Shot
they
was
should
not
trade D'Lo
falling,
too.
and he was not trying, or he was not
Yeah.
attempting it.
Mm-mm.
I just don't think, especially with picking up Gabe Vincent, that D'Lo has a strong enough role to where he's gonna even want to play for the team. I think that they should trade him for that reason.
Okay. Next team.
Next team is the Grizzlies with Xavier Tillman, which I'm gonna disagree with.
You think so?
You trying
And
to
I rather,
go first, Matt?
yeah, I'll go first. I'm gonna disagree with it, and I'm gonna say that they should trade Zaire Williams.
Okay.
To me, the Grizzlies have had this youth movement over the last couple years, and from that they've got they've got Desmond Bain, and they've got Jaren Jackson Jr. as their exciting pieces from the young core, along with guys like Brandon Clark and Xavier Tillman. But I feel like we've been expecting Zaire Williams to take this jump the last couple years and show us some nice flashes of his potential, and it just has not happened. They've tried putting him in the starting lineup a couple times, and it just never really clicked. So he's been resorted to on the bench, and I think that with Brandon Clark tearing his Achilles, he's going to be gone for the whole year. We know Steven Adams, he missed over 50% of the year last year. Jaren Jackson Jr. always is in foul trouble. So I think having a guy like Xavier Tillman off the bench would be extremely valuable, considering he's one of the better backup bigs in the league.
I think I'm gonna agree with Andy on this one.
Fair.
And quite frankly, I don't think there's just a better player. And I just looking at this roster right now, they have a lot of other bigs. You know what I'm saying? Especially because I expect Kenneth Lofton to take a big jump here, and I feel like he could honestly be just a Xavier Tillman but better with more of an offensive bag. Especially Matt, when you talk about them moving Jaren to 5, I don't think there's a spot for Xavier Tillman moving forward for the Grizzlies.
No,
Well,
I mean
he'd be their backup big. I'm not saying he should be a starter.
No, I know, but like that would move Steven Adams to the backup spot.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, Steven Adams is still on the team, so they'll probably start both of them for the time being. But there's always injury concern with Steven Adams as he gets older in age. But Dibo, what do you think?
Yeah, man, just looking at the Grizzlies roster right now, there's not a lot of tradable pieces with this team. Tillman being the most obvious one of them all, which I am going to agree with my boy Andy and both of you guys with this. And just looking at the roster in general, like, who can you say? Zaire Williams, I don't think the market would be there for him, especially with a guy who hasn't really produced since he came into this league. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the default with this one with Xavier Tillman, even though I really like him as a backup big, being that backup 5, giving you some quality minutes off the bench.
I'd rather I don't know if I would rather trade Brandon Clark. I also don't know what you're getting for Brandon Clark right now.
No, we don't know because obviously his Achilles injury. Yeah, that happened. So he's a very unknown type of player right now.
Next team is going to sound like a repeat of all summer. It's the Miami Heat with Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Agree
I
or
disagree.
Disagree?
Yeah, I just think Jovic would be a better one to trade. Yeah, Miami fans are not going to like me on that one. But quite frankly, I just feel like he'd be the next best option. opposed to Tyler Hero.
I think I got a better player.
I'm gonna throw a different player too, but Matt, you can go first.
I think Duncan Robinson got to be on that trade block.
Who,
I think for what he's
still under
making,
contract.
yeah. Well, that contract. Well, you're probably gonna have to trade a pick with it to get him off the team. I assume, to get somebody to take the contract. I don't. Depending on how many years are left. If it's 1 year, you might be able to convince the team to take it. But I just think that for this Miami Heat team, I actually think that you could make a couple different arguments for guys like Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. But for him to be taking up so much cap space, and he got some minutes in the playoffs last year, but he wasn't getting minutes during the regular season last year. He went a big portion of the season just in street clothes, basically, or not street clothes, but just in warm-ups.
Yeah.
So I'd put Duncan Robinson on the trade block.
Dibo got someone else.
Mm-hmm. And by that, I got Kyle Lowry as my player.
That's that's a good one.
Bit of a more expiring deal. I believe he's on the last year of his contract. So around the trade deadline, salary dump to a rebuilding roster, get that off your hands. Maybe get a decent depth piece in exchange for him, along with some sort of draft compensation. Get that going as well. But for Tyler Hero, I honestly think they should keep him for the time being because I think we've seen a lot of growth with him as a player compared to his rookie year, his early years in the league. Him taking up responsibility for his playing ability as well, which he talked about that over this offseason with the trade rumors going around, of course, about with Dame and him in that part of the deal. So I feel like with Tyler Hero right now, with him being a more mature player, him being more willing to improve on his game, him being a more impactful player to this Heat team, I feel like, especially last year with his hand injury, him not being in that postseason run, I feel like he got a massive chip on his shoulder heading into this year, and I feel like he could probably be a more impactful player on this Miami Heat team compared to years past.
You know what that chest tattoo says?
What does it say? I actually don't know.
No work, no check.
All right.
No work, no check.
Damn, no, but I forgot he got a tattoo. My fault.
He tatted. No, I agree though. Tyler Hero's is too big of a piece to trade.
Yeah.
But let's move on to the team that did get Damian Lillard. The Milwaukee Bucks. Their player is Marjon Beauchamp.
Isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't it Marion? Like the J is like a Y.
Ooh, please. If it is, I apologize. I'll refer to him as Beauchamp.
Beauchamp. I mean, I don't know. With this Bucks team, they have a lot of like set players. Their roster is kind of set. Obviously, them being one of the more older teams in the league. Beauchamp obviously being the only young piece on this roster, even. So I guess by default, we're gonna go with Beauchamp. To be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, who else could you possibly trade? Like,
yeah, I don't know.
Crowder?
Yeah, maybe. But Beauchamp's probably
get 8 second rounders for Jay Crowder. Like, come on.
Yeah. Now we saw Jay Crowder was on the trade block all of last season, and it basically took till the trade deadline to get like the slimmest of packages for him.
And look what happened. He barely got any play time versus the Heat in that first round series, and for good reason. No offense to him, but it was for good reason.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Next team, the Timberwolves with Karl Anthony Towns. Dibo, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like out of all the players here, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. Obviously, I expressed my, I forgot the word. What to say for this? What's the word to say for like frustration, something like that?
frustration. It wasn't animosity, like displeasure, um,
Yeah, we'll go with
disappointment.
this. Yeah, we'll go with displeasure. I have expressed my displeasure over the years with Cat's ability as a key guy in the playoffs, as that star guy. It didn't matter whether he was the first, second when Jimmy Butler was there with the Timberwolves, or even like a third, or the third piece recently as these past 2 years. He just hasn't been there as a playoff performer. And I feel like now with the Rudy Gobert trade, obviously Gobert, one of the biggest contracts in the entire league, their hands are kind of tied behind their back right now. And if you look at their roster, of course, you got the borderline superstar, and a lot of people are expecting him to take another leap this year as a player. And so, for you to unlock his abilities as that franchise guy, to even expand his offensive game, attacking the rim, I just feel like Cat moving away. It seems like the right move.
100% agree. I
Yeah,
mean, you look at the T Wolves. Their depth at the center position is it's just extensive. They've got Gobert and they've got Naz Reid. I mean, what more could you want? You trade away Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, you could get a lot for him. You get another star to pair with Anthony Edwards that would pair better than Cat is, or Cat currently does, rather. Yeah, I just think that's honestly a no-brainer.
yeah, yeah. Realistically, I think the Timberwolves will give it another year
Yeah,
between this front court
Yeah,
duo
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
to see if it'll work. But I think Karl Anthony Towns is the right name to be in here. As we were talking about with the Cleveland Cavaliers, I just don't think the Twin Towers work in today's NBA. And I think Cat's like very loyal to Minnesota, but I also think that Cat would want his own team. Like he wants to be the number one guy, and that's not going to happen with Anthony Edwards. So I think Anthony Edwards, a guy who's been vocal about preferring to play small ball than big ball, a guy who is already the star player for this team. I think just hand him the keys entirely and start to build a team that fits around him as opposed to Cat.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you, Matt.
Nice. Next team is the Pelicans, and Dibo will like this one as it is Jonas Valanciunas.
Debo cook up.
Yeah, obviously, right now, I think him alongside Zion is not the greatest fit, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Valanciunas is mediocre in that position. Even with his size and his ability to get rebounds, both defensive and offensive, but at the same time, if you're gonna work out like a bigger front court with Zion, you got to put a big that can actually be a reliable rim protector, that can actually be a very good, even like an elite rim protector and defender in general. Because with Zion, we just haven't seen it with his size and his height. I mean, I've been disappointed with his defensive ability too, because during his time at Duke, he showed a lot of flashes with that, especially with his athletic ability to be able to roam around the paint and contest those shots. But ever since he's been in the league, that's really happened. So I feel like with Valanciunas, I think he would be the most likely player for them to move away from.
Matt, you got
Go.
something to say? Because
Uh,
I'm just gonna agree with Debo and Andy here. The
yeah,
Pelicans, they've got a lot of depth at the big position. Valanciunas isn't a great defensive center. He's more of your traditional, just kind of average center. You got Larry Nance and I believe it is Billy Hernan Gomez, even though it's a
yeah,
W.
yeah, yeah.
I just think those two are going to be better for the Pelicans moving forward instead of Valanciunas, and I still think you could get a decent asset for Valanciunas if you were to trade him away.
They need to get Miles Turner. He's the perfect five to play with
Uh,
Zion.
Speaking of Miles Turner trade talks,
I don't know with Indiana, man. Right now, I think they're kind of comfortable
They're
with
not gonna move
keeping
him.
Miles Turner. Yeah, I think that ship has sailed already. That ship has sailed for sure. So they gotta look
Mhm.
at more defensive bigs, but a big duo of front court of both Zion and Miles Turner. Man, that'd be
that'd be
very
nasty.
enticing.
Yeah, that'd be nasty.
Sadly, it won't happen.
Yeah,
It won't happen.
unfortunately.
No.
Um, let's move on then. Sorry, my article just closed. The next team is
The Knicks.
the Knicks with RJ Barrett.
Knickerbockers, yes, 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 please, yes. I like that. And Andy, we rocking with Andy. We for sure rocking.
Andy's cooking for real.
He's cooking for sure. Matt, do you want to go first as a fellow Knick fan?
Yeah. I disagree with Andy actually.
Of course.
I disagree with Andy, and I rather have either of our front court players in here instead.
Oh my god!
I rather have either Julius Randle or Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is a dude who, throughout the season last year, openly expresses frustration. Whether it was liking stuff on Twitter about how if he had a bigger role, he'd be like the next coming of Wembanyama, somebody said, and he liked it. And they were leaking him to the Spurs, and he was liking all that shit. He was talking about how his role's not big enough. And like all he's supposed to do is catch lobs and protect the rim. Like that's all. Like just stick to your role. I'd be fine trading him, even though he had a great playoff series against the Cavs. So did RJ, to be fair. And then Julius Randle, I think that you could probably cash in right now on Julius Randle, maybe because he's coming off an All-Star, a season where he made the All-Star team and an All-NBA appearance. So you could maybe cash in on him because I just don't really know what more he'll do for the Knicks or what he can do for the Knicks. But for RJ, this is a dude who's 23, a guy who's I think improved somewhat every year
I
of
don't
the
think
season.
so.
And last year we saw some serious progression in the playoffs. I think that with the new shot form this year, I think that we can hopefully look forward to seeing that 40% from three happen again. That's like the next dream. But keep RJ, give him one more year.
Matt, if you're
or three.
banking on a player cooking with a new shot form, that's your biggest problem.
Players are always changing their shot form.
Not good ones.
Lonzo ain't good.
Lonzo is not playing. Anyway,
Steph changed his
I
shot
agree
form
with-
in the league a
I
couple
agree.
times.
What? Anyway, I agree with Andy. They gotta trade RJ. It's time to give up. It's time to give
Yeah.
up.
Oh man.
That's all I can say.
Yeah, man, shoot, man. Bro, I was napping over that over Matt's take, man. I don't know what he was on about. I don't know what he was on about. He was talking about new shot form. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
They'll respect greatness soon.
I don't know, man. But with RJ Barrett, man, I think what are we on? Year 5 with RJ Barrett? Year 5?
Yeah, I think so. I think yeah.
And we have seen little to no improvement with this game whatsoever. I mean, whether the Knicks were a rebuilding team, whether the Knicks were a playoff contender, we've seen no improvement. And right now, even though he still is 22, 23, like Matt said, this is I just don't see his game improving that much farther. I think when you look at all of the other shooting guards in the entire league, but you got Maxey, Hero, even Reeves, Jordan Poole. There are a lot of shooting guards young shooting guards that I'd rather take over RJ Barrett. And I feel like for the Knicks, if they want to, add more spacing to this team, add more efficient scoring to this team, yeah, they'll trade Barrett.
Smart. Good take, Dibo.
20-point per game score. 20
I
point
don't
per game
care.
score.
I
Terrible
don't care.
efficiency.
Maxi,
Efficiency will come back with new shot form. That's what I'm
Maxi,
hoping.
Devin
You should not
Vassell,
bank on that.
Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Austin Reeves. Who else? What other young shooting guard in the league? What are young shooting guards?
He's a small forward though.
It don't
He
matter.
don't play
Hugh
like that
Grimes.
though. He don't play.
Hugh
Like
Grimes to the shooting guard.
It don't matter.
Shooting
Shooting guard, small forward, point guard, even it don't matter, man. Trade RJ Barrett, please.
I don't got a problem with the RJ take because I understand it. I just think like there's such a cap to a team with a Mitchell Robinson center. Like that's what we saw against the Heat. Like there's just no versatility there. Because if he's not setting a screen and he's not having an alley oop, what's he doing? Like he's just on the court. And they were able to neutralize his rim presence literally by just outworking him. As Dibo, a wise man once said, the East is just pussy. And so when you play a team like the Heat, it's just kind of it's easy for them to take over. But I'd like to give RJ one more season at the minimum. But let's move on to the OKC Thunder with Usman Dieng.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You got to trade him. Every other player on the Thunder has such a high ceiling for me. When they all work together, I don't see Dieng in there.
I got a different answer for this one, and I'm just gonna say the draft picks.
Draft picks.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's almost that time, man. It's almost that time. It is almost that time. You got to make a move, Sam Presti. One way or another, you got to make a move. I think with Shea, Giddey, J-Dub, if I'm correct, as well as Chet Holmgren with the full season of Chet Holmgren. I just think that
hopefully
move within the next 1 or 2 seasons, I think that would be the perfect time to get at least a star player into that team.
Yeah, and especially like they kind of already have this like young core in rotation. Bill, as you mentioned, they got Shea and Giddey in the backcourt, and then they have
J-Dub.
They have J-Dub, they have Poku,
Chet.
they have Lou Dort.
You just think Poku not good, man. I'm sorry.
Stop. Respect Poku.
Poku stinks.
Poku
stinks, man. Poku stinks. I'm sorry.
No,
Poku
but
stinks. That unicorn build ain't moved me, man. That build ain't moved me, man. I'm sorry. Poku stinks, man. I'm sorry. No offense to him, but nah, he's not. He's not an NBA player right now. He's not.
But you already have this young rotation built out. You can't continue to bring in 4 first-round draft picks and have them competing all like summer for a spot in the rotation. Like it's just not going to work. Those players are never going to develop the way you want because they're never going to get the time they want. But if you can instead trade those 4 first-round picks, and now you get a star caliber player to pair alongside Shea, Josh Giddey, and Chet, and now you have a big, fantastic 4 or fabulous 5 with whatever J-Dub turns into. I think that's the way you have to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, man.
Next team is the Orlando Magic with Jonathan Isaac.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
What I mean, like, let's be real. I don't think he has a spot anymore. That injury or I believe ACL injury. It's just it came at a bad time for him.
Yeah, I think he's played 17 games in the last 3 years or something. It was like I think that's
and it sucks because you hate to see anyone like that, you know.
Yeah, because he was also like a very good defensive player, like all defense caliber player, but with him being out and them being able to implement guys like Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, even guys under them like a Chuma Okeke of sorts, I think just have played a bigger role than he has, and they're going to continue to do so.
Yeah. Dibo, you got anything else to say?
For the Thunder?
for Magic
for
with
Magic.
Jonathan Isaac.
Oh shoot, man! I completely blanked out. My fault. I blinked. I blanked. My fault. That's
We're
bad podcasting for me. But Maga Isaac,
Maga Isaac.
Maga
Yes.
Isaac.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
Personal opinion about him aside, yeah, I think be the right move.
Yeah.
Just get whatever type of assets you can get for Jonathan Isaac right now. I just don't think him on this team. It just where does he fit even? Where does he even fit? Like you got Wendell
Exactly.
Carter too, of course. Boncaro, Wagner. This is nowhere for him to be. Like
Especially with his contract too, because he's making like 17, 18 a year.
Yeah.
exactly.
For playing 11 games in the past 3 seasons.
Yeah. But we all agree with Andy there. Let's move on. Next team, Philadelphia 76ers. I bet we can all guess who this one is. James Harden.
Wow, big surprise. I mean, do you have anyone else? James Harden
Do we
doesn't
need
want
to
to play
spend
there.
time on this one?
He don't want to play
I
there.
obviously agree.
Yeah.
No, I mean he's obviously
Embiid.
showed his frustration
Embiid. To the Knicks.
He's obviously showed his
Oh.
frustration with the Sixers roster. Oh, this whole off season really like dissing Maury at the club, China, just like again shitting on Daryl Morey. Like he doesn't want to be there, and I feel like with the Sixers team, it's gonna be very interesting to see how this team's morale and chemistry plays out with these trade talks revolving around this team with Harden.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just if you have your second best player is someone who doesn't want to play there, you've got a big problem. Big problem. Then I don't think you need to say any more than that.
Yeah, especially when that player's James Harden, because we've seen how James Harden will play when he's like discontent with the place or with the situation.
Man, I'm kind of pissed off with that too now, man. Like, how many trade requests are you gonna make at this point? Like, I'm done with his antics, bro. I'm completely done because he wanted out of Houston. Okay, they were going to a rebuilding phase. You didn't want to be there. I ain't like the way he did it, but fair.
Fat suit and
Then,
everything.
yeah, and then Brooklyn, that ended poorly. I know it was kind of like out of nowhere too, with all the KD and Kyrie drama going on, but still that ended poorly. And now with Philly, him with all these antics towards Daryl Morey, with this team in general, this is very annoying, man. It's very annoying, and I think with his ability as a superstar, it's very disappointing to see how this man has, carried himself during these type of scenarios over his career.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the antics though. You're tired of it? Oh my god! If he wears a fat suit game one, I'll be there. I'll so be there.
Right. It makes for great entertainment at the same time, from like an actual
if you're in the locker room, it's shitty.
Yeah, it's very shitty. So,
hey, but if he's there with that lunchroom debate shoes, will be insane.
For real. All right, moving on.
Next player, Phoenix Suns Bobo.
I hate to say it because I love my guy Bobo, but
he's not good.
He's just not the one for the Suns,
That man, he's barely an NBA player.
Yeah, the Suns can't trade away anyone else because they need the depth. Bobo, he's just not the right player.
I mean, Bobo, he's gonna get shipped out during the trade deadline probably for like a 2029, 2020, 2030 second round pick. A little bit of a roster filler move. That's how I see the Bobo trade going now. I mean, I don't know, man. I've never seen the hype really with Bobo. I mean, the Nuggets when he was there, when MPJ Murray was out, he had a chance to at least carve out a semi decent role within the rotation. He didn't do that, and he got bounced over like mad teams too after his time with the Nuggets as well. And now he's in Phoenix, and with the win now roster, do y'all really expect this man to contribute in any sort of way?
No.
I mean, last year when he was with the Magic, he had a decent role. He started over. Oh no, he played in a good amount of games, and towards the end of the year, he was getting like DMPs. He was barely getting any playing time. And so, if you're able to contribute on a rebuilding team, we're just giving anyone minutes, anyone like semi young with potential, any minutes, and you didn't contribute towards that team, I just don't see it at all.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything?
No, I agree with you guys. I agree with
Yeah.
Andy. I think Bobo's the player on the market. Next team is the Portland Trailblazers with newly acquired Malcolm Brogdon.
Andy's on a roll, dude. He's on a roll. I mean, like I can just echo exactly what he says here. He just doesn't fit the timeline.
Yeah,
for the Blazers, it just doesn't work. They can get good picks for him. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah, especially for what Malcolm Brogdon did last year, winning 6th Man of the Year, probably being the best backup point guard in the league. A lot of teams are going to be looking for that, especially a lot of contending teams. So I think if you could trade Malcolm Brogdon, who's looking for a winning situation, more win now type player, and pile onto your young assets and your draft capital, I think you do so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the different player for this one.
Oh, okay.
Kind of on the same spectrum is Malcolm Brogdon, and that is Jeremy Grant. I think he's getting his new contract, of course, 28 around that per year. I just feel like his role with this team, especially with Nurkic being gone, like what is it really? Veteran piece, I guess, but at the same time, if I was the Trailblazers front office, if I was the Trailblazers front office, post Damian Lillard, I just feel like we go on full youth movement. Let the young guys play throughout the whole entire year. Trade Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon for the front court players. Give guys like Chris Murray more minutes. Play Aiden and Rob Williams more with that double big rotation in that starting lineup. I just feel like it'd be the right move for them to move away from Grant.
I was going to have Jeremy Grant, but I just think the contract's too unmovable at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I have Malcolm Brogdon. But let's move on to the Sacramento Kings with Davion Mitchell.
I disagree with this one.
Yeah, I disagree as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Harrison Barnes for this.
I was gonna say Trey Lyles.
Nah, I'm going with
Lyles
Harrison
nice
Barnes.
with them.
I think Trey Lyles would be Trey Lyles along with again Keegan Murray and also Sasha Vesnikov. Their new signing from the EuroLeague MVP. I just think those three would contribute, give off similar production. Those three combined, if not, give off better production than Harrison Barnes. Last year in the playoffs, that left a very poor taste in my mouth against his former team of the Warriors. What did he do, even as a veteran piece in that scenario? He's one of the worst players that consistently got minutes for that team that whole series. And I feel like with their team right now, I think they need to focus on Keegan Murray to take the leap. They gotta let Keegan Murray cook, man. They gotta find some way for him to at least become like, I know they don't play the same position, but the Desmond Bain of this team, being that 20 plus point per game scorer on a nightly basis, being that guy that can lessen the load of both a De'Aaron Fox and a Domantas Sabonis on this team. I feel like Keegan Murray, this team moving forward, he's the X factor for them if they want to be serious contenders.
Dibo, you convinced me. I'm gonna actually say Harrison Barnes too.
What can I say?
Attaboy.
I know ball. I know ball. I know ball. Thank you, my good man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the love.
Because you convinced me, I have it's exactly what you said. I have nothing else to say.
Fair enough.
I have Harrison Burns as well. That new contract is so bad. I don't remember how much he's making a year off the top of the
17
dome.
million.
Yeah, I think it
17
was
million.
17 million. Which is just atrocious, especially when, as Debo mentioned, you have some younger guys in your rotation like a Keegan Murray, who are already playing similar positions and are already doing it at a higher level. Um, so yeah, I'd move on from Harrison Barnes. Uh, Moving on to the Spurs, Doug McDermott, Dougie McBuckets.
Uh, that's an interesting one.
Um,
'Cause you could
I don't
look
know,
at it.
man. I don't know, man. There's not a lot of enticing trade pieces on the Spurs team. They're just
Yeah,
kind of there. And that could be a good thing because they don't got a lot of cap. I mean, Colton Johnson, Devin Vassell, they're the two highest paid players on this team right now. So
yeah,
I feel like even with guys like Doug McDermott, Devontae Graham, not Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Cam Burks, they're on team friendly deals right now, and so I don't got anything to complain about the Spurs team.
yeah. I think maybe by default you just go with Doug McDermott just because he might just be the easiest guy if you have to trade someone.
I guess
I'm
so.
I'm actually gonna say a different name. I'm gonna say Zach Collins. Um, Zach Collins is actually really solid,
Got
very
bitched by
solid player.
MPJ.
Sure, and this is why he's Owen's least favorite player. Um, but as Debo mentioned, he's on a team friendly contract. And Zach Collins also has shown some good progression over the last couple of years. So I think for the Spurs, seeing that he's on a team friendly deal and showing this progression, showing he can space the floor as a five and be a versatile defender, I think that they could cash in and get a decent amount of assets compared to trading Doug McDermott, where they're probably having to trade him with one of their own picks for a team to take on the contract.
Yeah,
So I'll go with Zach Collins there. Next trade is the Toronto Raptors, and it is Pascal Siakam.
ding 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 ding
Yeah,
ding ding ding
Yeah,
ding ding.
good choice. Good choice.
Excuse me.
Let Andy
yeah.
cook, man. What up?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Masai Ujiri, man. What are we doing? What are we doing right now? What
But
are
the
we doing?
Raptors are like the most uninspiring team in the league right now, and it
Like
sucks.
what direction are we going with this team, man? Dude, Siakam, trade him. Ananobi, trade him. Gary Trent Jr., trade him for whatever assets you can. I don't care if it's a second. Just trade him. Trade all these older pieces on this team, man. Give the keys to Scotty Barnes, Grady Dick, and call it a day. No more fighting for the play-in. No more, trying to win now with a mediocre roster. It's time to fully rebuild. I mean, the
Yeah,
Kawhi Leonard year when they won the chip, those are fun times, very fun times. Good times in Toronto. But these last 2-3 years, the Raptors, they've been in no man's land, complete wasteland. It's time to give it up, man. It's over, and that's okay. The NBA, it's good to tank a little bit if you know what you're doing. If you got a full
every
on
now and
plan,
then.
it's good to have a rebuild going on, and you already got one of the probably a potential franchise cornerstone of Scotty Barnes. Give him the keys, man. It's about time. Let's go.
Yeah,
See what you got with Scotty, man.
it's just time to give it up, dude.
yeah,
Pascal Siakam as your number one is not gonna get you a whole lot of places.
And Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby duo, man. That's getting like what 42 wins, like at max. It no, it's
Mhm.
over.
Especially with Pascal being on the last year of his contract. Um, there's like a ton of uncertainty that you could just lose him for nothing. And while I do agree with Owen that he's not a number one on a championship team, I think that a lot of teams would give up a lot to make him the number 2 or 3 if they think that they could be that championship team. Um, so yeah, I'd try to cash in on all the assets you could get now and start that rebuild with Scotty Barnes.
Do pull a
Mhm.
thunder and you're set.
Yeah.
Well, they can't really pull. They really can't do the exact same thing with the
Well,
Thunder
yeah,
because they don't
the Thunder
but
aren't nuts, but like they can use it as a template
Yeah.
to do their best to try.
hmm
fair enough.
Next, the Utah Jazz with Kelly Olynyk, aka the clutchest player in the league.
For real.
I'm gonna go with a different player actually, Jordan Clarkson, and I know his salary, at 23 mil per year. That's not the most tradable piece. You're not really gonna find easier trading destinations for Jordan Clarkson, but at the same time, you definitely got like Keontae George, which I am very high on him out of Baylor. I think if you're able to give him the keys early at that shooting guard position, he's going to take off immediately. His scoring ability, his athleticism, I think he's going to be a very high end player in this league. And so I feel like for them to fully unlock him, fully utilize his potential, Jordan Clarkson got to go.
Yeah, I would agree. Jordan Clarkson doesn't fit the rebuilding timeline either for the Jazz. It's just and Kelly Olynyk, like I don't see a real reason why you would trade him. You trade him for what, like a second round pick? Like I don't really
I mean,
know about that.
I do understand Kelly Olynyk right now because their front court is kind of loaded. At this point, they just got John Collins, Taylor Hendricks. They drafted him in the first round, and they also, of course, they got Laurie Markkinen, the corner star right now. I mean, he
Yeah,
was great last year, winning Most Improved.
Plus Walker Kessler.
Olynyk would be
Walker
the
Kessler.
play, and Walker Kessler too. Which, by the way, Steve Kerr should give him more minutes. Should have gave him more minutes at the FIBA World Cup, man. Should have got more minutes. I don't understand why, but yeah. But as I was saying, Kelly Olynyk, I do feel like he's the more reasonable, realistic trading piece, but I think they should let Jordan Clarkson go as well.
Yeah, this could be like one where Andy should have given two players.
No, Dibo. For those reasons, I'm gonna agree with Andy. I'm gonna take Kelly Olynyk. I think that his playoff experience. I was joking about being the clutchest player of all time, but you as a Celtics fan know what that man can do in the playoffs and in Game Sevens. So I could honestly see the Celtics trying to trade for him. It seems like a very Celtics move, especially with their lack of front court play at the moment. And then with all their depth, with all the Jazz's depth in the front court. But last team to end it out, Andy left us with a banger. With the Washington Wizards and Landry Shamet.
Agree with Andy. The Wizards they don't have any use for Landry Shamet. They can get assets for him, trade him, like Andy said, to a contending team who needs a shooter coming off the bench.
I might have to agree. You look at this Wizards roster. Poole, he's the cornerstone. Thank you, Matt. The cornerstone player on the Wizards right now. So obviously, you're not going to trade him. Kyle Kuzma, they just signed him to a big extension. He's not going to be traded. Tyus Jones, veteran piece. Daniel Gafford, solid defensive cornerstone at that 5 position. And you got Denny Advia, Corey Kispert, Johnny Davis, those young pieces as well. They're not going to be traded as well. So I guess Landry Shamet by default, he gets traded.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything to add on to that?
I'm stuck between Landry Shamet and Corey Kispert, but I'll agree with Landry Shamet.
You keep you gotta keep Kispert.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense for them to keep a guy like Corey Kispert, not Landry Shamet.
Yeah, he's a lot younger. They drafted him, take the time to develop him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd agree. Overall, pretty good article. Shout out to Andy.
Andy is cooking, dude.
Hey, let me say one more thing about Landry Shamet. That man been getting passed around like crazy recently. He's on
Yeah,
a new team like every year. I just had to mention that every single year on a new team, bro. Hey, pray for my man Shamet. Pray for
The new
Shamet,
Ish
y'all.
Smith.
yeah. He's played
That's
for a couple
crazy.
of Ishmith teams because he's played. Ishmith played with the Wizards.
Wizards.
Ishmith. He was on
He
the
did play for the
Sixers.
Suns. He was on the Suns.
He was on
And
the.
Suns, Sixers.
Was he ever on the Clippers? I don't think he was on the Clippers. Was he?
Ish Smith was not on the
Ishmith.
Clippers. No, he wasn't. No.
They try to
Yeah.
find a team Ishmith didn't play for. Impossible challenge.
Impossible challenge. That's funny.
It's really impossible. I know he didn't play for the Celtics. That's an easy one. Boom. Got him.
He didn't play for the Knicks either.
No, he didn't.
That's one too. Hey.
Anyway, what an episode, boys.
Yeah,
That was a fun one.
yeah, we're gonna wrap it up from here. And with that being said, thank y'all so much for listening to this. If you're watching this right now, thank y'all so much for another great episode. We appreciate the love and support from all you guys. And a little bit of a promo here. Follow us on all of our social media pages: Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. All with the handle @LunchRoomDebates. Just drop a quick follow or subscribe, whatever platform you're on. We appreciate that. We drop daily reels from every episode. Well, we do, and also highlights as well. That all that good stuff. So again, thank y'all for the love and support. We appreciate y'all.
I should have done it at the beginning of the episode, but I didn't realize it until now. We hit 600 on YouTube. So round of applause.
Finally, let's go. Finally, let's go.
So, but keep subscribing to the YouTube. We're on the road to 1K.
That'll be a huge milestone.
Very huge, very big. But with that being said, hey, we gotta head out, man.
All right,
Peace.
boys, have a good one.
Peace.
Yes, sir.